we have to learn from the clues. This is a very thick wall, as you can see. We're going north to south, but it's too thick to be a normal wall. It's 7 meters or 21 feet, and when you find something, a wall that's wide, you did not find
Trees over here to build his own house over here, and Solomon also later built
a very, very big building that had to be built so wide because it was going higher and higher and higher. So this is not the wall of the city, since we already found the wall of the city. It used to be some kind of a very big structure, a fortress, a palace. Okay, this is the bedrock. You can't dig anymore, so it means the beginning of the city. Okay, and now the next thing is our location. If you understood from the top, we're at the top of the city. Okay, because the temple was on Mount Moriah and the city is just starting here in the slopes. Another clue. This stone that might look familiar to you because it's on our 5
Do these figures actually exist?
Look at it. Now, I used to take out a 5 shekel coin here, but I had too many cases of not being able to put it back in my pocket. So I decided that you will take a look in your 5 shekels. And this we don't put any archaeological thing that we find on our coins, as we are not putting any face on our bills, right? You understand that? So it's something very crucial, very important in Israel archaeology. Why? Because you're looking at that and you're thinking there's hundreds of that in Israel, right? Roman, Greek, Bet Shean, Caesarea, so many of those, right? No, this is not Roman and it's not Greek, it's Phoenician. Phoenicians are almost 1,000 years before Rome and Greece, okay? Why is it so important? We found very few Phoenician stones in Israel. You know who are the Phoenicians? Our neighbors from Lebanon, Hezbollah. They used to be nicer. Okay, they used to be Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians had good connection. The people who took picture of that sign maybe read the verse, and Hiram, the king of Tyre, Lebanon, Phoenicia then. Hiram, you know him? Sent messengers to King David and cedar trees and carpenters and masons, and they built David a house. So the first thing to kind of welcome the new strong guy on the block is that the king of Lebanon, the king of Phoenicia, is sending, maybe he's getting paid also, I don't know, but the connection, there is a connection, there is a cooperation, because David is very strong, probably, right? If you can beat them, you join them, right? But there are very, very few Phoenician stones in Israel, because why to use artists from abroad? You use the Canaanite, architecture style.
I guess not just a local Bedouin
We
chief,
found
and
these kinds of stones,
he's a
Phoenician stones,
Judaic
only in palaces.
town over there. It's
Only
not
in the
just-
north, in different places, only palaces were using Phoenicians artists, okay? This is the only Phoenician stones found in Jerusalem, okay, in the ancient Jerusalem. So what does it show me? It shows me that I have a very big palace here. Yes, now I understand it's a palace, and we understand that it's from the Phoenician time to David's time. Also carbon dated. It's carbon dating. We dated this place. It levels with King David, and it's at the top of the city. So for many people, this was enough to say, well, we found a palace from David's time, and there's even the only Phoenician architecture that was found in Jerusalem was found in the palace. So this is probably what the Bible is telling us about Hiram, the king of Tyre, etc., etc. Of course, we can't prove that unless we find a stone saying, welcome to King David's palace. This is, again, okay, it depends if you want to be scientific, then you have to be scientific. But let's say that even without being 100% sure, this is a very, very good option, the best option that we had in the last few hundreds of years of archaeology for King David Palace. Okay.
This is the likely place for David's palace, and this was just found by some other excavator more thoroughly than previous excavators just 8-10 years ago. This is looking over into East Jerusalem. This may be the point at which David was looking over his balcony at Bathsheba. On the other side over there would have been when David was coming up to dance before the Lord. Michal may have looked out of a window on that side and despised David in her heart. And then tell us about that stone, Andy, real quick.
This is found in the 1980s. It was found somewhere on the slopes here, and what's significant about it is that it's a Proto-Ionic capital. It's found sort of in the Phoenician artists that would make it, and it's not really found in Israel except for in palaces. And so finding it here, that's pretty significant. That would indicate that this place is most likely a palace. Because these were not made by Israelite artists. It would have been imported. So why would it be imported? Probably because it's a palace. Get the best.
And then this is the Kidron Valley here, and the Mount of Olives is up there. And the Bible actually talks about David fleeing over the Mount of Olives when Absalom came to Jerusalem to try to displace him.
Gap where the door used to be on the left. Okay. As you leave the room, on your right there is the beginning of a staircase. If you can see it. As we will continue that direction, you will see much better the staircase. And there are sections, rooms, narrow rooms. Okay. Now you're seeing only half of the house. There's another one here that collapsed. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. Now there's a small distance, and another house starts with an external staircase. Yes. It's actually, if you would look beyond this bar, there's another house starting down. You can see a wall of another house. So actually, we are having a window here into the classroom. And this is how the house looks like, as we believe. Staircase, the entrance, the 4 pillars, like the courtyard inside, and rooms. Okay, houses were very small in the old days, not like today. Okay, I think it's because the roof, you couldn't create huge roofs like we have today. So this actually is considered a very big house. Who would live in this house? Somebody probably very important. Why do I say that? Because it's near the palace. Very good. If you're living, even today, you tell me where you live, I will guess more or less what's your socioeconomic level, right? So this guy is living so close to the king. He's a minister. He's somebody very important, okay? More than that is the size of the house, and more than that is the fact that this guy has a toilet. Can you recognize the toilet? This. You see this stone? Very strange. We do not find toilets from 3,000 years ago, or this case 1,600 years ago. This little thing with a hole. It just fell. It just fell into its pit. Now, why do we don't find toilets?
It's a toilet.
Because people are not using toilets. They go out of the city, right? And they come back. Now think about it. Think about it if you had to walk 20 minutes every time that you had to go to the toilet and back. Okay?
We're gonna go.
Okay, you understand that this changes the way of life that you have. Okay? If somebody is rich enough, he can afford a toilet simply because there's no sanitation, there's no system, there's no running water here. The water are coming from the rain, from the cisterns, yeah? And they're coming from the Gihon spring that we're going to get to know much better later in the valley. But there's no running water. So what does he afford himself? He affords a person to be there 24/7 and to go out for him, if you understand what I mean, okay? It's not a maid twice a week. It's somebody that only very, very expensive, rich people can afford. And that's why we don't find in Israel so many toilets from that time, less than 10. And in the city of David we found 5. So it shows you during the Bible. It's pretty amazing. I think that a lot of us believe anyway that the Bible is completely, exact, but a lot of us not. Even Jews, even in Israel. I myself was raised in a house. My father told me he was a son of a communist, coming from Russia, and he told him that it's all, religion is, opiate to the masses. This is mythology, like the Greek mythology, and that's it. Okay? And when you come to a little bit into the archaeological, into the historical knowledge, you understand that Maybe the Greek mythology is mythology, but the Jewish mythology is history. It's the story. It's the story, and the proofs are amazing. We found here the signature of Gemariyahu, the son of Shaphan. By the way, they're all figures from the book of Jeremiah, which is very logical because we're talking about the time of the destruction. And Jeremiah is the prophet that is prophesying about the destruction. All the people that we found here, I'm almost saying met here. All the people that we found here are people who knew Jeremiah and were ministers, officials. That's why their signatures probably are found here and not somebody else. And we found Gemariyahu ben Shaphan. He's the scribe of the king himself. Very, very high rank. Right? The scribe of the king, the one that is actually writing the book of the king that at the end was put together in the books of Kings. Right? Yeah. So you're looking at one of the writers of the books of Kings. Okay, Gemariyahu, the son of Shaphan. By the way, for the people who know Gedaliah from the fast of Gedaliah, this is his uncle. Okay, this is Gedaliah's uncle. Now we found more. We found in the palace, I told you, also sealed, and we actually found the names of the people who sent Jeremiah to the pit. If you're familiar with that very famous story, when they just throw Jeremiah to a pit, maybe you saw it in the movie also, but it's not correct in the movie, right? Why is it not correct in the movie? Right. Because he looks like he's a nice, acoustic, clean pit, but according to Jeremiah's book, he is thrown to a pit, and the pit is filled with plaster. And he is sent, not for prison, he's sent to his slow, very cruel death. As he sinks, and he sinks, and he sinks, just in the last minute when it reaches his nose, already the mouth is in the... Then 30 people come, and they take him out. The people who threw him to the pit are mentioned, 4 people. Yuchal, the son of Shlamiyahu, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, are 2 of them. And we found their signatures 6 years ago in the palace.
Wow.
So you can understand the excitement and the thrill that you get when you find those things, because it's almost incredible that it stayed, that it's here in the soil of Jerusalem, and you're just thinking about what's there, like what's underneath us, like few feet underneath our legs, what's still waiting to be found, which treasures, which signatures of people that we know so well but never had contact, physical contact with. And this is definitely a physical contact. You're holding somebody's signature.
They also found a bunch of Babylonian arrowheads in this area that would correspond with the Babylon taking over the city in the time of Jeremiah and Zedekiah. They also found a bunch of those clay seals that would basically had people's signatures, and there was the way that contracts or documents would have been sealed. They found them all in this area, and that's what you just heard. There's the Kidron Valley, and there's the city of David up there, where the palace would have been, up there. And right across here, you can see them right in the rock over there. There's some holes in the rock, and right there particularly. And that was the cemetery of the city of David. This is eastern Jerusalem right now. It's like a village, an Arab village over there. And the Kidron Valley comes down here and goes all the way down there to the Dead Sea. Solomon's wives would have offered sacrifices to other gods on this mountain, which was also the mountain where the cemetery for the city of David was, like over there, and also where you see some holes in the rocks over there. That's where they would put people's bones from the city of David. There's the Kidron Valley right there, and we're looking back towards the city of David, and we're about to go into the water shaft, the mooring shaft. Very exciting.